You are listening to the Novel Writing Podcast, episode 57. Grab a cup, cozy up, and let's get to writing. Today's episode is the 53rd of 60 daily episodes that pair with the videos of Haley's 60-day novel writing challenge. You can watch the first 5 days of the challenge for free on Haley's YouTube channel, and the link to that is in the description. Day 53 of the challenge is about writing tense and point of view. Now, if you don't know what tense and point of view are, never fear, we are here to help. Point of view is who is telling the story, and tense is when the story is being told. Now, Haley gives you a much more detailed breakdown in today's video, but I have a few tidbits to talk about too on the tense and point of view front. There's first, second, and third person, but most people do not either write or read second person because it's just so weird. It makes the reader the subject of a story. Now, the best example I've seen of second person in anything is the Stanley Parable video game. A long time ago, I once watched Hank Green from the Vlogbrothers play through the Stanley Parable on his gaming channel. And what stuck with me was, first off, that it was in second person, and secondly, how well they pulled second person off. Now, I think the majority of books are actually written in third person, but first person is plenty popular too, depending on which writer or which reader you ask. My personal opinion is that I generally avoid first person both in writing and in reading, but there are a few notable exceptions on the reading front. The first one is, obviously, Haley's Secrets of the Tally series, which is in first person, and Naomi Novik's Scholomance series, which is in first person too. And I think both are excellent. First person to me typically gives away that the main character doesn't die at the end, which, yay, unless it's stated up front, like, this is the story of how I died. So first person can remove a little bit of the mystery about the main character's fate, but there's a trade-off, especially if your first person character is an unreliable narrator. If you decide to change point of view or change tense in the editing stage, expect it to both take a while and that it might need a lot of thought to work things out. I've had to rewrite multiple chapters and scenes to change from one point of view to another, and by that I mean from third person in one character's point of view to third person in another character's point of view. I don't mean changing from third person to first person or like that. But sometimes doing that change means removing certain information that character A knew, but character B doesn't. It also impacts the setting, especially if character B is in a different location or a different area of the same vicinity as character A, but not in a place where you can make just a straight swap. In The Prophet's Ruin, part of why I got so stuck on rewriting chapter 14 was because I had to change it to Luke's point of view after it had been originally in Emma's, both in third person. While they are both at a place called the Trident in chapter 14, they're not together for part of it, and switching points of view meant a lot of reworking. On the subject of multiple points of view, I think it's becoming a lot more common to have multiple POVs, in third person especially. Multiple POVs in first person is a little bit more uncommon, and it can be harder because you have to get into more than one character's head to write each person distinctively. But it's not impossible. One well-known example of multiple third-person points of view is in the Game of Thrones series. The problem that Game of Thrones had was that the storylines of each character were really disconnected, and I heard that many readers would end up skipping through to read all of the Jon chapters, or all of the Tyrion chapters, or all of the Daenerys chapters. I actually read straight through like George R.R. Martin intended, but I found it hard to remember where Jon had left off 2 chapters ago if I had just finished reading an Arya chapter. Now, if you're going to do multiple points of view, and by that I mean multiple of a single type, so multiple third or multiple first, just make sure that the reader is engaged enough with each of their stories to keep reading. An easy way to distinguish between character points of view is how they refer to things or how they refer to different people. In Book 2, Luke refers to someone called Elijah Cade, who is the Lord of the Trident, as Cade, his last name, and Emma refers to him as Elijah, his first name. Just having that difference in how they distinguish him helps remind the reader that it's a chapter from either Luke's or Emma's perspective. Tense changes, on the other hand, are a little more insidious and harder to change because some words can just slip through the cracks. Choosing your tense up front before you even begin writing is what I'd recommend, but if you're 90% of the way through the first draft and decide you want to change from past tense to present, or vice versa, know that you've got a lot of work ahead of you. That's it for this companion episode to Writing Tense and Point of View. Thanks for joining me today, and I will see you tomorrow for day 54. Thanks for listening to the Novel Writing Podcast. If you're ready to stop struggling and start finishing your novel, check out the 60-Day Novel Writing Challenge. It's a step-by-step program designed for solo writers to complete their first draft with clarity and focus. Visit the link in the description to learn more.